The last video pertaining to the Chapter 3 review. This is questions 21 through 25. Starting on 21, we are once again asked to solve for this variable x. Okay, we're given this equation and we're asked to isolate x. So, for starters, I want to get rid of this negative n. So I'm going to add n to both sides of the equation. Negative or plus a negative n. Negative n plus n, those guys cancel out. You're left with just a times x, or ax. And r plus n, since those guys are not like terms, you leave it as so. And then to get x by itself, you want to get rid of its coefficient, which is a. So please divide by a on both sides, and you're left with x equals r plus n over a. R plus n over a. That's what we wanted. Very good. On to 22 then. We want to solve for t. We want to isolate t. So, in order to get to what's up here in this numerator, we need to first get rid of the denominator. So, this is divided by r. So, on both sides of our equation, let's multiply. That's times r, or r over 1. On both sides of our equation. So s times r. Okay, s times r is just sr. And r over 1 times this fraction, well, our r's are going to cancel out. And we are left with just 4x plus t. 4x plus t. Okay, we want to solve for t, so it only takes one more step. 4x is just a number. Okay, in order to get this positive number off of this side, off of the left side, we will subtract 4x. We will do the same thing on the right side. So you're left with 4x minus 4x is 0. You're just left with a positive 1t is equal to SR minus 4x. None of those are like terms, therefore we are stuck with what we have. That is our final answer. On to 23. Please solve for k. K is on the inside of this set of parentheses. Therefore, in order for us to get to it, we need to get rid of this x. So, this is x times 4 minus k. So in order to eliminate that multiplication or undo that multiplication, we will divide by x on both sides. So x times this over x, my x's cancel out, and you're left with 4 minus k equals p over x. We're trying to solve for k, so let's get rid of this 4 over here. Keep in mind, it says minus k. Therefore, this is a negative k. That's very important. Very important. A lot of you, I can see a lot of mistakes happening right there. Because once we subtract 4 from both sides, you are left with negative k, or negative 1k. A lot of people miss that. On the right side, we still have p over x, and from that whole number, we are subtracting 4. Last step, we need a positive k, positive 1k. So let's divide by negative 1. Same thing over here, divide by negative 1. And we are left with k, positive k, equals negative p over x plus 4. Because when you divide by negative 1, you flip the signs. This guy becomes negative, this guy becomes positive. Right here is your final answer. You also could write 4 plus negative p over x, or 4 minus p over x. On to 24. Please solve for h. Let's start by multiplying both sides by 2, or 2 over 1. So we have 2a equals, by multiplying by 2, we eliminate the denominator, and you now have h times the quantity of a plus b. And we are solving for the h, so let's get rid of the thing that h is being multiplied by. That's this whole quantity. So let's divide by a plus b. You don't have to put parentheses, but you may. And we must do it on both sides. Divide by a plus b. So you're left with h equals 2a divided by little a plus little b. And lastly, we are on to 25. It says this. A ball is thrown straight up at an initial velocity of 53 feet per second. In the first 1.5 seconds, it travels 42 feet. The formula S equals u plus v over 2 times t represents the vertical distance s that an object travels in t seconds, where u represents the initial velocity of the object and v represents the velocity of the object at the end of this many seconds, t seconds. Find the velocity of the ball at the end of 1.5 seconds. This is a lot less complicated than it sounds, folks. They give you a lot of information, and they're asking you to find the velocity of the ball at the end of 1.5 seconds. Well, you need to go back and figure out which variable represents this. And if you notice, it says v represents the velocity of the object at the end of a certain number of seconds. So we know, ultimately, we are going to be solving for this variable right here. Okay, which means you were probably given some of these other variables, some other information. So we know that u, which represents the initial velocity of the object, is 53. So in our parentheses, in place of u, we're going to plug 53. We don't know v. That's what we're going to be looking for. We know 2 is there. Were we given a time? Yes, we're asked find the velocity of the ball at the end of 1.5 seconds. So this is times t, or in this case 1.5. That goes in place of t. And of course equals, well, s represents the vertical distance that an object travels in a certain amount of time. And we are told in the first 1.5 seconds, the ball travels vertically 42 feet. So in place of s, we're going to put 42. Now, the only variable we don't know is v. That's what we're trying to solve for. So let's just do this like a normal equation. Several ways to go about it. I'm going to start by eliminating this guy right here. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1.5. So I should be left with this divided by this is actually 28. And that's equal to 53 plus v over 2. And we're getting closer to v. Now let's get rid of this denominator. So let's multiply by 2 over 1, or just 2 on both sides. Now you should be left with 56 equals 53 plus v, and you probably know the answer by now. Subtract 53 from both sides, and you are left with v equals, it says find the velocity of the ball. So what are the units then? Well, if you look back, you realize we're talking about seconds and we're talking about feet. So 3 feet per second is how fast that ball is moving. Every second that ball is moving 3 feet during the first 1.5 seconds. Alright folks, there you have it.